He's an author, he's a scholar, he's a lecturer, and he is a presidential historian. Our former colleague from KGO Radio really knows the Middle East. I wanted to bring him in as Donald Trump continues his Middle East tour. How about it for John Rothmann, everyone?
Hey, Mark, considering we're talking about Free Grocery Day, I just want to remind you, everyone has their own bag, and every Wednesday, you're mine.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. John Rothmann, I really was looking forward to speaking to you because of what's happening in the Middle East with Donald Trump meeting with many Middle Eastern leaders. There's appears, it would seem, even prior to his trip, there was a lot of money being poured into Trump coffers, mostly through the meme coin. I mean, upwards of $1 billion thrown in there by the UAE. And this meme coin and his platform, World Liberty, which is essentially like the Charles Schwab or Morgan Stanley trading floor of cryptocurrency. That is to say, you can buy and sell crypto there on his platform. It's his son's, actually, but I mean, you get it, the Trump family. That was used to buy the meme coin. So there's money being made on all sides. So there's that. And now he's in the Middle East, and it would appear that all these Middle East leaders have the game pretty well figured, and that is flatter Donald Trump and then lay some dough on him. I wonder if you can, I mean, that's the jetliner view of it. I wonder if you can add some specifics, and I'm particularly interested in some of the concessions that Trump seems up to make. Arms deals, changing relationships between Syria and the U.S. I wonder if you can speak to some of these things and prioritize them for us.
Pure corruption. That's all I can tell you. When you hear the news that the President of the United States is accepting a gift that is worth as much as $500 million for a new Air Force One, which, by the way, the Secret Service says is a very bad idea. You may have heard their rather direct comment. It's just stunning to me. I'm a presidential historian, no question. I've been studying it for years. I've never seen such corruption in my life. Never. And when you remember that the original scandal was when Sherman Adams, who was Eisenhower's chief of staff, and a very able man, by the way, who I knew casually, when you consider that he had to resign his position because he accepted a vicuna coat and a refrigerator. I mean, give me a break. Now look at this splendid example of a plane. Do you all understand that the President of the United States flies on Air Force One? It's one of the most impressive things you can ever see. And by the way, you can see it at the Reagan Library. They have an Air Force One there. You can go through it and see. Can you imagine what our situation would be with bugs planted in there?
Well, they're going to strip the whole. They're going to strip the plane down all the way if they even deal with this. It's going to cost more than $400 million to rebuild the plane the way it needs to be rebuilt. We've already talked about this. Yeah. Take me to Syria. I mean, I know we haven't, you and I, but thank you for weighing in on it. It's clearly it's bribe central, of course. But take me to Syria and some of these relationships that you know so much about. Now there was a change in leadership in Syria, right? There was a civil war, and now there is new government in charge. They are, I guess, getting a pretty warm reception from Trump, who's trying to really normalize relations with the state of Syria.
What he's trying to do is to say to the Syrians, the leadership, come along with me and I'll take care of you. And among other things, we are now seeing an example of flattery by Trump in order to get what he wants. Frankly, nobody really knows much about this new Syrian leadership or Syrian government. I have no problem, by the way, with establishing diplomatic relations with Syria, but do I trust them? Do I trust what's happening? The answer is no. And nobody else does either. It is a stunning development. By the way, talk about personal diplomacy. These decisions are being made solely by the President of the United States, who is making these initiatives. But I can tell you that when you talk about this man, the president, who has the tagline that you have now up, a $10 million U.S. bounty on his head because he was a member of Al-Qaeda, this is nonsense.
Exactly.
This is Donald Trump's delusional.
So again, just to put specifics on it, he plans to lift sanctions on Syria And again, this is not the Assad Syria. Assad is
No,
gone.
this is a new Syria.
Mm-hmm. And again, this is a significant win for the Syrian government, right? I mean, this new government, Ahmed al-Shara is the president, seized power from Assad. And one of the first things he gets done, if you will, is the lifting of sanctions from the U.S. president. I mean, it's a win for the new regime in Syria, that's for sure. I'm wondering what's in it for the U.S., why Trump would want to do something like this.
Well,
I
Trump
think it's
wants-
naive. I think it's naivete on his part. You know, he looks at a guy, meets him, the guy flatters him, and you know, he thinks, you know what, why can't we just, you know, let's lift the sanctions and let's be good here. You recognize Israel, and then, you know, we get back to dinner.
Trump wants Syria to join the Abraham Accords. This is, in a sense, a bribe. He's saying to this guy, who is a former terrorist, come on along. Now, let's put it one of two ways. Either it's an act of brilliance, which will pay off in the long run, or it's the dumbest damn thing we've ever seen Donald Trump or any president do. And only time will tell. All I can tell you is the current president of Syria has a terrorist background. He is a radical Islamist. And is he making a deal with Donald Trump? I think he is. And I think his purpose is clear. He wants American patronage. He wants to survive. What would happen if he were to recognize Israel? Well, I can only remind you of the lesson of Anwar Sadat, who was killed, or President Numeri in the Sudan, who was overthrown and survived.
I mean, are you saying then, but let me just understand what you're saying. Are you saying then that there is pressure from the street, from the Syrian street, to never normalize relations in any way or join the Abraham Accords? Okay, so that there'd be a price to pay if you were to do that. Okay.
But let me also point out a contradiction. Under Donald Trump, the recognition of Israel's control of the Golan Heights has been established. No government of Israel will ever cede the Golan Heights again. Those of us who've been to the Golan Heights understand that from the top of the Golan, you can fire down all through central Israel. What is in this deal? And by the way, I haven't heard any real substantive reaction from the Israelis, because so far they haven't had to say anything. This is Trump's initiative. Trump's going to do it. And whether it succeeds or fails will be on Donald Trump.
Where are you on this, though? Do you believe that the sanctions should have been lifted on Syria? But it's not. There are many on Capitol Hill, as you know, who are pushing for him to lift sanctions.
The sanctions were imposed on Assad when he ruled Syria. The fact that Assad is no longer the dictator of Syria means you can play the game, lift the sanctions, see what's happening. And that's what Donald Trump is doing. Do I oppose it? Not necessarily. But do I believe it will create a peace in the Middle East? The answer is no. And I hope I'm wrong.
Speaking to that, let's talk about the Saudis. I mean, the Saudis are obviously at the center of so much for Trump and for the U.S. This is a relationship that has, for decades, reflected a mutual interest. I mean, I think that you'd concede that.
Oh, financial interest, you mean? The money
yes,
that
exactly.
is being paid?
You'd concede that the gravitational forces around money. Exactly.
Are you kidding? The Trumps have made, everybody says to me, what about Hunter Biden? What Hunter Biden did, which was wrong, and you and I talked about it at the time, what Hunter Biden did is child's play. We're talking billions of dollars flowing into the Trump family coffers. I've never seen such corruption in my life. Never. Does that answer your question about that?
The relationship with the Saudis was always based on oil in the early days, right? I mean, you wouldn't have a relationship with the Saudis. Yeah. I mean, so the idea somehow that this is the Qatari welcome, by the way, what you're seeing now, if you're watching on YouTube, these are the Qataris welcoming in Donald Trump, and they're in red Cybertrucks, Tesla Cybertrucks, and there are camels at the end of this procession, if you can see it. It's an overhead shot. You see the presidential limousine, which is a black, it looks like a Lincoln or something like one of these, and what you're seeing is the traditional Arab garb and camels flanking as that limousine moves, but it's being led by all of these red cyber trucks. So again, there it is. We're showing it to
Oh,
you
and
again.
you did not point out that guess who is accompanying Trump on this trip?
Elon Musk, indeed.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
What does that tell you? I mean, this is, I've never seen such corruption in my life, nor do I trust the Saudis particularly. By the way, one caveat here. You understand that if the Saudi government, it is a family business. Saudi Arabia is a family-controlled operation. If the Saudi family were overthrown tomorrow, the name of that peninsula would be Arabia, not Saudi Arabia. And I think what we're doing, which every American president has done, is to prop up the Saudi family. And now the Saudis have a real partner because Donald Trump is prepared to go to the ends of the earth to prop up the Saudi family with a major arms deal, Mark, a major arms deal. Those of us
$142 billion is what John is talking about. It's the largest defense sales agreement in history, according to the White House. And again,
and there you
this
have it.
4-day diplomatic tour features
Now,
this
is there a
announcement.
condition? Is a condition being attached that the Saudis join the Abraham Accords? Is a condition being attached that the Saudi government recognize Israel? That's another question we don't have an answer for yet. But let me tell you that I believe very strongly that this is a corrupt operation between the Saudis. And remember, this is Crown Prince Suleiman. This was the man who ordered the death of Khashoggi. And all of a sudden, human rights don't seem to play any part in what's going on now. This is, forgive me, I want peace in the Middle East. And I want peace for Israel, and I want peace for the Arab states. And I want peace, frankly, for the Palestinians. I want peace for the whole region. But what is being done now is such a corrupt bargain. And I'm certain, let me put it in this way. I am certain that what Donald Trump is doing is going to boomerang. And that's the tragedy of it. By the way, talk to 9/11 families.
No, wait a minute. Speak. You can't, please expand on that. It's going to boomerang how?
When it falls apart.
And falls apart how?
I'm not a prophet, Mark, but I can tell you.
Give me one narrative by which you could fall
apart. If you
think
that the Saudis will drop their anti-democratic support for terrorism, anti-Israel rhetoric, you're wrong. They're not going to do it. And if they did, they wouldn't be the Saudi family anymore. They've got to now deal with something internally. And I don't want to bore everybody with this. The Wahhabis, who control the religious life of Saudi Arabia. The reason that the Saudi family succeeded in taking over the kingdom was because of the alliance with the Wahhabis. The Wahhabis are radical Islamists. Do you think they're going to go along with this? I don't believe so. And let me tell you, if you really follow what's going on in the Middle East, Donald Trump will never be forgiven for recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, which is something he did in his first term. Donald Trump will never be forgiven for easing the process with the Golan Heights, recognizing Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights. And certainly the idea that Israel is sovereign over Jerusalem is abhorrent to the Wahhabis and to most radical Islamists. There's no logic to this except Donald Trump's mafia boss mentality, which is you can bully and buy your way to something. And who's profiting? Forgive me for coming back to this. The Trump family. The Trump family is taking in billions of dollars. And just take a look at Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr. and what's happening. This is corruption. By the way, if we could bribe the Middle East, if we could bribe the Middle East to peace, maybe it's not such a bad deal. But I can tell you that I am very cognizant as a student of Middle East history that this, to me, smacks of bribery, bullying, and intimidation and will not succeed. Look at
now let me play. First of all, of course, you're right. I mean, I had mentioned the Wahhabis in the first half hour because that's the Saudi street that will never let you really normalize relations with Israel. Although there is tremendous pressure to do it. And Trump himself is saying, I don't know if you saw this, but it's kind of like it was a wink and a nod, saying it may not happen. I hope that it happens someday, but I know it probably won't happen anytime soon. He was essentially giving them a lot of wiggle room on it to not recognize Israel in any kind of formal way,
Look, I understand.
while he was giving them that $142 billion arms deal. So
You understand the security of the Saudi family on ruling the Arabian Peninsula is critical to American foreign policy. The worst thing that would happen would be if the Saudis were overthrown and a radical Islamic regime took over on the Arabian Peninsula. It would be a disaster for the world, and everybody understands that. So the question is, will this work? Remember, we tried this with the Shah of Iran when, through a series of American presidents, we gave the Shah everything he wanted, including massive arms deals right up to the time that he was overthrown. In the end, he was overthrown not by his military. He was overthrown by radical Islamic extremists. And if you can remember 8-track tapes, and you remember the tapes that circulated in Iran in those days, that's what brought the Shah down. He was also repressive. And let me point out to you, the Saudi family.
Wait a minute, go back to the 8-track tapes. What do you mean they brought the Shah down? What do you mean?
Khomeini recorded messages saying this is the most corrupt regime.
And those were distributed.
Yes, and they were given freely. And I want to remind you of that because do I see analogies here? You bet. We did everything to back the Shah of Iran because we understood that if the Shah were overthrown, a radical Islamic regime would take over. I am suggesting to you the unthinkable, that as this goes forward, the Saudi family becomes more vulnerable to radical Islam. And may I point out one more thing?
Well, before you do, I just want to thank you because this is why we pay you the big money. You finally gave me, I mean, it took 20 goddamn minutes to get there, but you finally gave me the Iran parallel, which is the great parallel for what's happening with the Saudis right now. Now, go ahead,
remember that as Ayatollah Khomeini pursued the Shah, that the voice of Al-Qaeda pursues the Saudi family. They believe the Saudi family is corrupt. And I want to remind everyone here that on September the 11th, it was clear that Osama bin Laden was labeling the Saudi family as being responsible as well. By the way, the reason it took me 20 minutes is because of all those rude interruptions by our host.
There's no one I like to give there's no one I like to give a hard time to more than John Rothmann. All right, Rothmann, quickly, we're running out of time because you can't stop talking.
What do you mean
so
you're running out of time?
Let me tell you, I need to change.
Are breaking. Go ahead.
Talk about Medicare and Medicaid and what might actually happen with risk reconciliation. Could it happen? Just set that table real quick
80
for
million
us.
people rely on Medicaid. You're hearing it now. Even Hawley of Missouri is now saying he won't vote for the deal. Why? Because many of the people of Missouri are on Medicaid. So this is a real attack on our system, which is predictable. Remember, these are the Republicans who have opposed consistently Obamacare and who have opposed consistently, frankly, the continuation of Medicaid and Medicare. So I think this is something else which we'll be seeing it because if this passes, there will be a division. May I tell you, there's already a split in the Republican Party between those who are accepting what Trump is doing and those who are opposing it. And the kicker may be Medicaid. I would be remiss if I didn't talk to you for just a moment.
And I'll remind everybody while you look for whatever you're looking for, I'll remind you all that Medicaid is the program that takes care of the lowest income Americans.
80 million Americans.
Yeah.
And if you take a look at the states which Donald Trump won, the red states, if you will, those states depend more on Medicaid than anyone else. And what I was looking for,
they're definitely hitting they're hurt. Most of the policies of this administration hurt the red states first, except those that are designated and really strategized to target blue states. Go ahead, John. Sorry.
I do want to answer the question: are we in a constitutional crisis? And the answer is many people are not really aware of it. But there was a decision late last night by Judge Stephanie Haynes of the U.S. District Court for Western Pennsylvania. She was nominated by Trump in 2019, serves on the court, and she has now upheld the idea of the acceptance of the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. So you now have courts in New York, Texas, and Colorado who have opposed what Trump is doing. And what you now have is one judge who is supporting what Trump is doing. This is going to the Supreme Court. And I want to make this, if you'll pardon my old expression from my old boss, perfectly clear. Keep your eye on Chief Justice Roberts, who again issued a scathing attack on Trump without mentioning Trump by name, and Amy Coney Barrett, because when this comes to the Supreme Court of the United States, where it's headed now, this decision by Stephanie Haynes, Judge Haynes, ensures that the Supreme Court is going to review it. And what this means is it could be a 5-4 vote if Roberts and Amy Coney Barrett split off. Now, here's the question for you. Why is it a potential constitutional crisis? Because the Trump administration says they don't care what the court says. And you're hearing that from Pam Bondi, the Attorney General of the United States. And you're hearing it from the Solicitor General of the United States. And more important, you're hearing it from the Vice President of the United States.
So in this instance, around this issue, it speaks to the ability of the administration to continue to use ICE agents in this kind of paramilitary way.
Yeah, and have you seen what the ICE agents did?
I mean, it's
the mayor
utter
of
cruelty.
Newark, New Jersey. I don't know if you've played that tape.
Deliberate cruelty, yeah.
And 3 members of Congress were standing there, and they're being threatened now. This is the most horrific misuse of presidential power. And I want to come back to one other thing, Mark. You and I count on the 5th Amendment to the Constitution, habeas corpus. The Trump administration is now determined, as Stephen Miller has articulated so clearly, the Deputy White House Chief of Staff, of eliminating our right to habeas corpus. There have been examples. Abraham
And again,
Lincoln,
habeas corpus just means that you get to be there in court. It's a due process sort of thing. Habeas corpus is from the Latin, which means,
thank you very
know.
much.
Right.
But, this is something that I had a long discussion yesterday with somebody I'm very close to about this. And the argument made was, well, it doesn't matter. Let Trump do what he's going to do. He won the election. Let him do what he's going to do. And think of all the good things Donald Trump has done. I'm just trying to think of some.
That didn't take long.
Yeah. But my answer was, Richard Nixon did many good things as president. The war on cancer, the Environmental Protection Agency, détente, all of the things Nixon did that were positive. But one negative thing is what brought him down. And it wasn't the break-in, it was the cover-up. I am telling you that if you simply took a look at the emoluments clause to the Constitution of the United States, what Donald Trump is doing is absolutely against the Constitution. His war on habeas corpus, against the Constitution. So there will be things when we write history that Donald Trump did very well. But there are these glaring examples of things which, frankly, are an abuse of power. And
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I can go on a treasure hunt, and I can certainly find things that the Trump administration is doing that are in areas that need to be attended to. I mean, I'll give you an example. China, you do need to reset the relationship with China, but instead of coming in with some kind of nuanced policy, Trump just storms in and says 146% tariffs on China, and I'm going to tariff the rest of the world too. He's almost like a drunken, naive, power drunk on power kind of president. It's crazy. He's so impulsive. It's a mess. But you could say, well, we do need to reset the relationship with China. Yeah, we do, but not in that fashion. That is reckless and outrageous.
I want you to know, I believe anybody who contributes to the Mark Thompson show, there should be 145% tariff. That, Mark, would ensure your success.
Look, I love going around the schoolyard with you. You're very, very smart, and I appreciate your contributions. John Rothmann, you can, yes, sir.
Call my wife and tell her I'm smart, will you?
You're not smarter than your wife, I'm guessing, but do check out John Rothmann. His podcast is Around the Political World with John Rothmann. It's a daily podcast, and he writes, and also there are links to the podcast at thevoicesf.org. Rothmann, you are part of our family. We love having you here, and thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. John Rothmann, everybody. Right on.
Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.